So I'm really excited. I think a couple videos ago I mentioned to you guys this fun notepad cover that I had made, and the response that I got was overwhelming, and so I was so excited that you guys were excited to see how I made it. And I love to give these as gifts to teachers, friends, neighbors, just anybody who I can give one to. So this is our project today. And I used the Secret Garden stamp set. You can tell it's all neutral colors, so it's pretty easy. And then on the inside, there's a fun pocket. And I actually, at my workshop that I gave all the ladies who attended my workshop, I put an order form in there, and I put their open house form in there for the door prize. So I put that in there as well. And then up here, I've got a really pretty flower, just kind of embellish the notepad. It's really pretty. Now it is attached. So, you know, you're not taking it out. I've done it in the past where I've made a pocket for the notepad, but this is the notepad cover. So I think you'll be surprised. It's pretty easy to make. It's definitely a lot of fun. More so, it's fun to give away. All right, so what do you need to get started? You're going to need some early espresso paper, very vanilla paper. You're going to need this fabulous Secret Garden stamp set, and I love this stamp set. It's one of my favorites. And if you'd like, you can also pull out your Secret Garden framelits. Today I just went ahead, because I was only going to make a couple today for you, I just went ahead and cut them out. It was just easier. But you can use your framelits or not. And you're going to need to simply score it, because we're going to do a little bit of scoring today, but nothing crazy. And I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I think the first thing we're going to do is you're going to need a piece of early espresso, and don't worry, we're going to move along pretty quickly today, but I will have all of the dimensions on brandy'scards.com. So look in the description of this video, there'll be a link to my post, and you'll be able to see it in detail, okay? All right, let's get started. So we have an 8.5 by 11 early espresso paper, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it at 5 1/4. And then I'm also going to score it at 5 3/4. Okay? So 5 1/4 and 5 3/4. We'll go ahead and prep our paper. So we'll fold that, prep that, and this is actually our cover. So see, now that was pretty easy, right? All right, so let's move on to the pocket. So if you notice here on the inside of the one that I have finished, I have a pocket here. Now you can embellish this pocket if you want, but for time's sake, I'm going to leave mine plain. And so the size of this early espresso piece is actually 6.5 by 4 3/4, and we're going to go ahead and score it. So I've written down the scoring lines here. So we're going to score, we're going to start with the 6.5 edge. We're going to put that flush up towards the top of our scoreboard, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to go all the way over to the other side, and we're going to score it at 5 3/4. Okay, 5 3/4, and then again at 6. Now we're going to do a 90-degree turn with our paper, flush up against the top of your scoreboard, and again we're going to score it again at 1/2, and then we're going to score it at 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my little tool away, put my Simply Scored away. Love that thing, by the way. Now let's prep our paper. Let's go ahead and just fold on all of our score lines. You know, the idea with the pocket was just to have a fun place where, you know, you could stick a note or a card. In my workshop, you know, I was able to put, in the workshop, I was able to put the order form and stuff. So it's just a fun little gift. All right, so what are we going to do here? We're going to cut the square and the bottom of each corner off. That's right. You really don't need any tabs on this, I didn't think. So I just went ahead and cut the little tabs on each side off. Completely off. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I've got my tombow. I'm going to put a little bit of tombow in this corner and a little bit of tombow in that corner. And then you're just going to fold over your edges. Just like that. Now it does take a second for it to get a good hold. There's times where, you know, I'll just kind of like let it go, and then once it starts to dry a little bit, if you go back and you push it again, it tends to, you know, it tends to hold really good then. So anyway, we're just going to go ahead and let that kind of get set up and let that hold. All right, so I'm going to put that aside so we're well on our way. So let's pull our cover back in. You're going to need a notepad. You know, I just went and bought a whole bunch of these notepads. I really like these things. You know, there's so many things that you can do with them, but again, I really enjoy being able to give them as gifts. Now, if you want to cover the top of your notepad, I should bring back my scoreboard real quick. The nice lines definitely look best. So we're going to bring our scoreboard back up here. If you would like to cover the top of your notepad, you're going to go ahead and take I have a 5 by 2 piece of early espresso, and I am going to score it lengthwise. So I'm putting it up here at the 2. I'm going to score it at 1, and then I'm going to score it again at 1 1/4 because it's about 1/4 thick. Okay, so I'm going to set my scoring board back down. We'll prep this paper, and you know, you can use sticky strip if you want, but I just used I used all tombow for this project. So I'm going to put a bunch of glue inside here because I'm going to glue this to my my notepad. You know, I want to cover up the staples thing here. So we're just going to go ahead and fold that right over the top. Now I just think that looks so pretty. I mean, it's very finished. It looks very, very nice. Now on the very back of my notepad, I'm just going to put a whole bunch of tombow. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just kind of stick it all on there. I don't want it to go anywhere, so I did put a lot on there. I'm going to pull back in my cover and just, you know, very carefully stick it in your cover. Now, you know, you can center it if you want towards the bottom and the top. You know, I liked mine more towards the top, but you can do it however you would like. So once it's in there, it's in there. It's pretty darn good. So now we're going to go back here to our pocket. And I'm just going to kind of make sure my pocket's all nice and creased. And you know, I'm going to put a little bit of tombow on my pocket. And again, you can absolutely use sticky strip. I just find that for me, it's easier to work with the tombow adhesive. So whatever is best for you. So I put my tombow on all 3 sides. I'm going to lay my cover flat, and on the inside of the cover, I'm going to go ahead and stick down my pocket. There we go. Oh, I'm loving it already. And we just started. How cool is that? Okay, so now we have the base here all done. So that's perfect. Now we get to do the fun stuff, which is Stampin' and that sort of thing. So here I have got, I believe, I'll have the dimensions on my website, but I believe it's 5 1/4 by 5. But again, don't quote me on that. I will have it on my website. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And we're going to go ahead and pull in, we've got early espresso and crumb cake. And I've already mounted my Secret Garden stamp set. And what I liked to do first, which you can do it however you would like, is, you know, I like to start with the darkest, deepest color. And you know, the rule of odds. So if I'm going to do this dark flower, I'd probably only want to do 3 or 5. So again, it's kind of the rule of odds, odd numbers. So straight down and straight up, and I'm just randomly stamping this. There is no right or wrong way to do this, just kind of however you would like. You always ink it up after every stamp, and again, kind of think about stamping some of them off onto, you know, half off the paper, because I think that's what adds that fun dimension. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pull in this fun little daisy looking stamp, and we're going to ink that up in crumb cake. Now this one I stamped a little bit more. I liked it. I just thought it was very pretty. So I stamped it a few more times than the others. And again, you're just kind of stamping it all over. No right or wrong way to do that. So there you have that. And here we go. Let's see. This is going to be the more open flower. So then I would go ahead and pick that flower up, and you can just sort of stamp it here and there. You know, it doesn't really matter where you stamp it. It's just kind of sort of random, and I'm going to stamp it on top of some of the other flowers as well. And then I'm going to take the really big pretty flower that I like a lot, and we're going to come in and stamp this on top of some of these others. Now again, remember, you don't want, you know, you got to kind of remember that you don't want too many on here, because you do want it to be balanced. So right now I've got 4 on there, so let's just add a little hint of one more right about there. Perfect. Oh, I'm like loving that. Perfect. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull back in our cover, and we're just gonna glue this down to the bottom portion of our cover of our notepad here. So again, we're just putting some tombow glue on that. I'm just gonna center that towards the bottom and just glue that down, and that's perfect. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna stamp a greeting. Now the greeting size here, this is 5 by 1 inch. I went ahead and I pre-stamped my greeting. Now you certainly don't have to do that, you know, but I did it just for time's sake because I knew that this project could take a little bit longer. The next thing I'm gonna do is I have a bigger piece of paper. This is honestly just a scrap. It is 5 inches long, and I am going to tear an edge. I'm gonna just tear downward on an edge, just like that. And I like the rough edge facing me. I like that edge, and I'm just kind of roughing the edges and kind of making it pronounced. I'm gonna put some tombow behind my greeting, which again is 5 by 1. And I used Early Espresso to stamp my greeting. And I'm just gonna glue that down right towards the top of that ruffled edge. And then I'm gonna use my thumb to guide my next tear line. And we're gonna tear down. I just think dimension is fabulous. And you know, whenever you get the opportunity, you don't necessarily always need the fancy tools and things. Just, you know, just kind of rip and tear and have fun with it. You can really do some neat things. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put tombow glue on the back of that. If I can get my tombow glue, there we go. We're gonna put that on the back, and then I am just gonna stick that down right here to the top of my notepad. Just like that, very pretty. It's coming right along. Now the next step we're gonna do is, let's go ahead and stamp some embellishments for the front. Now what I did is I took a scrap piece of paper, and you're gonna stamp probably, I'd say 2 of these fabulous espresso flowers, okay? So let's stamp 2 of these. Perfect. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna stamp 1 of these little dark flowers. Very, very pretty. Love that flower, okay? So we've got 1 of those as well. And let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and do a third. Let's do a third espresso flower, okay? So we've got 3 on here. Now, what you can do is you can use your framelit, which is your Stampin' Up! Framelit. You can frame your flowers and run those through your Big Shot, or you can just use your paper snips and cut them out. So I have already run mine through the Big Shot to save time. So I have some right here, and I went ahead and I punched those out with our framelits, and I did the same thing with the leaves. I stamped my leaves in espresso as well. And then my pretty flower, which this one I believe you have to cut out because they don't have the framelit for that one. And so now we're gonna have some fun, and we're gonna make something really cool. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your flower and your leaves, and I use Stampin' Dimensionals for this part. You're gonna go ahead and put your leaf kind of where you think you might like it. You can stage it with your flower, but I haven't really found a wrong way. I pretty much like it anywhere. And then I'm going to kind of put another flower, or another leaf, I should say, that's kind of facing towards the bottom to kind of give it some neat dimension. And then we're going to go ahead and add our flower here to the center of our leaves, just like that, very pretty. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to take our other cutout flower with our framelit, or however you decided to do that, and I'm going to take my my snips, and I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to kind of cut in on the petals. Now, why am I going to do that? Well, you know, you could absolutely layer this flower and not cut up on the petals, but it's just kind of flat, I suppose. It's still very pretty, but if you want to go the extra step and just do a little bit something more, I recommend cutting up on each of these petals. Now what I'm going to do is just with my fingers, you can take you can take any sort of round tool, you can take a pencil and sort of bend these petals up to kind of give them lift. But I'm just kind of doing it with my finger. It's nothing crazy. We're going to come in with our handheld punch a hole in the center of that flower, And then over here I have got some antique brads. The antique brads are so pretty, the Stampin' Up! Antique brads. And so I've just picked one that I thought was really nice. And I've put it through, folded it, and we've got our kind of curled petals. So now I'm going to get some mini glue dots. Love these things. They are just fabulous. I use them a lot. Alright, so let's put some mini glue dots on the back of there, and now I'm going to offset my flower. So just kind of see, offset it from the bottom flower, and just kind of see what you like. Now the thing is, you don't have to put any Stampin' Dimensionals under that flower because you bent the petals. It's already popping itself up. So, I mean, that's perfect. Love it. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the inside. Now, I think you guys remember I stamped this flower and I've cut it out. So we're going to add a Stampin' Dimensional behind it. We're going to open up our stationery, and I'm going to put it right here in the corner. Now, this is what I thought was super cool. I stamped a third flower, and I went ahead and I was thinking, you know, this centerpiece is so pretty, why not make it into a butterfly? So what I did is I centered that flower in the center of my butterfly, and I popped it out, and it turns into this gorgeous, gorgeous butterfly. And then we're going to go in that center flower, which is in the center of your butterfly, we're going to punch a hole, and I'm going to add another antique brad to the center of our pretty little butterfly. And then we're going to grab another mini dimensional here, or a mini glue dot, and I'm going to stick it right in the middle of my flower. So instead of another flower centering it, we're going to use our butterfly. Well, that is it, folks. That is my fun notepad cover. There's so many different ways that you could do this. Of course, you can dress up this envelope. You know, one thing I haven't shown you, but I will on Brandy'sCards.com, is, you know, you can make a matching card as well. And this card, you know, it's basically the same sort of thing that I did on the front cover. You know, I used a little bit different browns. You know, it's entirely up to you. And then, you know, if you did a matching card, whoever you give that to, you can put a little message in there for them. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope that you give it a try. If you have any questions, let me know. And of course, I always appreciate your comments. So thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day.